Good morning everybody. So for this week we're going to be focusing on some geography, and we're going to be looking at the map of the world to look at continents and oceans. We've touched on this before, but we're just going to really make sure that we have fully understood and can locate everything as well. So I'd like you to first start off by splitting your page into two and writing things I already know about the world and things I want to find out about the world. Then, under the things I already know, I'd like you to tell me as many facts as you know about our world. It could be, I know the world is called Earth. It could be, I know that Earth is a sphere. It could be that you tell me something that we've learnt this year that you know about the world. It could be about the equator, or about where countries are, or different oceans are. So I'd like you to tell me everything that you already know, just off the top of your head. You don't have to research anything yet. Then I would like you to tell me things I want to find out. So anything that you think, oh, I wonder about this, or I wonder about this. So I'd like you to tell me, because then what I will do is once you share these with me on Seesaw, I can then plan the next 4 weeks of learning so that you have got something where we can cover what you'd like to find out, rather than just be me telling you something that you want to know as well. Okay, so here we have got a map of the world. It is like the sphere Earth has been cut in half and it's been laid flat. So this would be what you would see if it was laid flat. So I first want you to think, have you heard of the word continent before? If you have, what do I mean by a continent? If you know some continents, what continents do you know? Now there are some colour coordinated clues on here. So each of these colours is a different continent. So that might give you some ideas. So before you move on, before you press play, pause the video now, have a think, what do you know about continents? Do you know any continents? And see if you can remember any before we move on. So there are 7 continents that you need to know. Now these are them down the right hand side here. So we've got North America, South America, Africa, Europe, Asia, Australia and Antarctica. So these are the 7 continents. Now a continent is just where it means it's where the world is split into big parts of land that are connected together, and they're split up into the 7 continents. Now using these 7 continents, I would like you to have a guess as to where all these continents are. So you could either write it on a piece of paper and colour coordinate it. So you could write North America and you could put the colour next to it, whichever one you think it is. Alternatively, I have put this on Seesaw so you could actually write on there to do it to start with. So I'd like you to spend the next few minutes having a look and having a think, where do these continents locate? So use the words on the side, which colour coordinates to which continent. Okay, so let's have a look. So on the left hand side we have North America and South America. So if you found where North America was, on a compass we always say that north is at the top and south is at the bottom. So this is why it makes it nice and easy to know which way around North and South America go. Then Europe is the light blue. Now this is obviously, Europe is where we live. We are going to be looking more into Europe to see if you can identify whereabouts in Europe we are. Some of you might already know, which is fantastic. If you do, see if you can spot it just off that map there. Africa is below Europe, so that's the orange one. Then we have Asia, which is the pink one. Now, sometimes some people think Russia is a continent. However, Russia isn't a continent. Asia is the continent, but Russia is one of the main, it's about 75% of Asia is Russia. So it takes up a large amount of that continent. Then we have Australia, which is in the right hand side, which is the dark blue, which is right across. And then we have Antarctica, which is the red right at the bottom. Now before we move on to the next part, what I'd like you to do is on a piece of paper to write as many facts as you know about these continents. So for example, it might be that you know that Antarctica is going to be really cold because it's at the bottom of the world. It might be the fact that Australia doesn't only just include Australia, but also that New Zealand is part of Australia in that part of that continent. So I'd like you to just pause the video down. I want you to write as many facts down that you know about the different continents. If you don't know too many, maybe you could just describe where they are off this picture. So it could be that South America is below North America, Africa is below Europe, Asia is above Australia. So it could be you just use the words below, to the side, above to describe where they are. So I'd like you to pause the video now, have a go at doing that, and then once you've done that, play the video and we'll have a look at the next part. Okay, so the next part we're going to look at is what oceans do we know? So one, I want you to think about what is an ocean, how do we differentiate an ocean from other types of water, and how do you know any types of oceans, any names of any oceans. So I'd like you to pause the video now, have a think back about what we learned about this year, maybe about what you also know. What is an ocean and what oceans do you know? Once you've had a think of that, let's have a look to see if you have got some of the ones that we're going to discuss. So we have got 4 main oceans in the map of the world. Now an ocean is just a large expansion of water of the sea. So the sea is a smaller part, whereas the ocean, when there's lots of water that goes from the sea out into the ocean, where there's no land, it's just water, we call that an ocean. Now let's have a look then. So we've got Pacific Ocean, Atlantic Ocean, Indian Ocean and Arctic Ocean. So I'd first like you to have a think. Can you remember where are these oceans on the map of the world? Can you maybe try and see if you can locate them? Have a guess. You could add these to your map on your seesaw, see to check them when we go through them, have you got them right? So I'd like you to go through these, so Pacific, Atlantic, Indian and Arctic, and tell me where you think they are going to be on the map, and then we'll have a look to see if you've got that right. So here are the oceans. So we have the Pacific Ocean, which is next to North America and South America, and it is also on the other side. Now a quick bonus question, why is the Pacific Ocean on both sides of our map? Pause the video, have a think, have a discussion, maybe you can write the answer down. Why is the 2 Pacific Oceans on our map? You should have said, because obviously the Earth is round, so if our Earth was round, it would mean that the oceans would meet at both sides as it turns it into a sphere. So obviously that is why there's 2 Pacific Oceans, because it's actually the same ocean, but it would run all the way from North and South America, all the way around the ocean to Asia and Australia. Then we have the Atlantic Ocean. Now we should remember about the Atlantic Ocean, because the Atlantic Ocean was where the Titanic crashed into the iceberg. So obviously it was going from Europe over to North America. So obviously that goes right down the middle and all the way to the bottom. So you have the North Atlantic Ocean, which is towards the top, and you have the South Atlantic Ocean, which is towards the bottom. Now we have what we call the Arctic Ocean. This is right up at the top, because even though Antarctica is at the bottom, it's cold, we also have the Arctic, which is up at the top, which is why the Arctic Ocean is up there, because obviously it's going to be really cold because it is at the North Pole, whereas Antarctica is at the South Pole. Then we have the Indian Ocean, which is in the middle of where Africa's on the left, you've got Asia above it, and you have Australia to the right of it. Now if you have a look at, we're going to have a look more in detail here, but the reason why the Indian Ocean is here is because this part here is India. So obviously the Indian Ocean is going to be nearest to India. Okay, so now here is the map. Now we've got all our continents on it. We've also got our oceans on there as well. So if you haven't got these correct now, please can you go and change these and make sure that yours are correct to show where all the different continents are and all the oceans. Now, there is something in this bottom corner here which we're going to be having a look at. Now, do you know what we call this in the bottom left corner here? Pause the video, have a think, what is it called? What does it represent? How do you know why do we use it? So have a think, have a talk, and then we're going to have a look at this specific object here. So this is called a compass, and a compass helps us with our directions to know where things are. Now there's different letters on a compass. The main ones are N, E, S and W. Now I'd first like you to write, you can copy out this compass if you like, or alternatively you could just draw a nice simple drawing to show the compass. So it could be you draw a line down, a line across, and you write N, E, S and W. And you can draw yours out like this. Then what I'd like you to do is I want you to say, what do the letters stand for? So you could write it underneath it, you could write it next to it, you can write it wherever, but I want you to think, what do the letters stand for? Once you have done that, you could then use a different colour to add in your other letters. So we can crisscross them like this. We can write N-E, thinking about what the N stands for, thinking about what the E stands for. Obviously we can carry it on all the way until we have filled our compass in. Now once you have done this, you can then go and say what the letters stand for. So I'd like you to go and have a go at doing this now. If you are not sure, do not worry, we are going to go through it in just a minute. So I'd like you to first of all have a go at doing this. So pause the video now and see if you can go and have a go at doing this. Okay, so yours should look something like this. You should have put north at the top, east on the right, south at the bottom and west on the left. Now these are the main points on a compass. Some people remember them in different ways. I always remember them: never eat shredded wheat, N at the top, E on the right, S at the bottom and W on the side. I know some people talk about naughty elephants and other people make up yours. So if you want to come up with a way of remembering it, or you can use my way, never eat shredded wheat, that's another way that you can do it as well. Now, NE stands for northeast. We never say east-north because north and south are always the more prominent ones, the more important ones. So we would always say northeast. Same, we would always say southeast because we always say south or north first, followed by which side it is on, so it's on the east side. Then southwest because south always comes first and it's on the west side, and northwest, which is always on the left, but we always start with north, so it will be northwest. Now I'd like you to have a look then. This is how we can use a compass. So we can use the compass to describe where different objects are. We can describe where oceans are, where continents are. So this is what we're going to have a go at doing next. So I'd like you to use the compass to explain where each country is. So for example, I've given you 3 examples there. You can use these 3, or you can come up with your own. You can also expand the sentences to write more than one fact in each one. So for example, if you point to Europe, we would say Europe is north of Africa because it is above Africa. So use the compass to help you. Then we would say that Africa, point to Africa, is south of Europe because it's below. We then might say that Europe, so point to Europe again, is west of Asia, so Asia's on your right, and east of North America. So you can see how I'm using the compass, never eat shredded wheat, north, east, south and west, to describe where they are. Now to really challenge yourself, you could use northeast, southeast, southwest and northwest. So for example, for that, you could say Europe is northeast of South America. So you can see that if you point to Europe and you look at your compass, it is northeast of South America. So I'd like you to spend some time now. I would like you to come up with 8 sentences. That means 8, that doesn't mean 2, so please don't rush through this. 8 sentences to describe where they are. Now it does mean that you can write more. I am happy for you to write. You could write as many sentences as you like, but only on the continents to start with. We're going to move on to the oceans next. Okay, so now I'd like you to describe where the oceans are compared to the other oceans. So not the continents yet, just the oceans. So for example, the Arctic Ocean is north of the Arctic Ocean is north of the Atlantic Ocean. So we'll describe point to your Arctic, it is above, it's north of the Atlantic. You might say the Pacific Ocean is west of the Atlantic Ocean. You could also say the Pacific Ocean is east of the Atlantic Ocean. So you can see how we're building up. So again, this time I'd like you to come up with 5 sentences because obviously there's fewer oceans, but again, you can write as many sentences as you like, but please write a minimum of 5 to really develop your understanding of the compass and the oceans. Then I would like you to now explain where the oceans and the continents are in comparison to each other using your compass. So here are a few examples for you. So point to the Arctic Ocean. I have said the Arctic Ocean is north of Europe and Asia. So I've now said where the ocean is in comparison to the continents. I've then said Antarctica is south of the Atlantic Ocean and the Indian Ocean. So I'm now using the continents and the oceans to say where they are using my compass. And again, I'd really like you to challenge yourself using northeast, southeast, southwest and northwest, as well as writing as many sentences as you can. Now for this, I would like you to write a minimum of 8 sentences to really deepen that understanding. So please have a good go at that. Please really make sure your sentences have got capital letters for your names of your countries and of your oceans, because they are names. Please make sure you have put full stops at the end of your sentences and really get the detail into them. And I'd love to see your work on Seesaw. So please, once you've had a go at doing your sentences, please do take a picture of them or upload them onto Seesaw.